Having said all of the things we've talked about, I still think that there is a path for the Steelers with a positive offseason
Yeah,
to still making
100%.
the playoffs next year. It's
Yeah.
just, to me, it is all about maximizing this rookie window that you've got with a cheap quarterback on a cheap contract,
Yep.
um, and putting him in the best environment to succeed. And that's really what it's about to me. And I understand that other people may disagree with that philosophy, but to me, I think it's an absolute it's a disappointing decision to make because they can still make the playoffs next year. I still expect growth from the offense. I think that they 100% could be an average offense next year.
Oh yeah.
Even if I do kind of think that they are going to upgrade one of the spots on the line. They might get they're probably going to add another weapon. I anticipate them getting a receiver in the first couple rounds of the draft. But that's the thing too. Like with Canada, this is how this decision kind of has a trickle down effect. You look at the receivers in the draft; it's a really slot heavy receiver class, right? A lot of guys who could play out in the slot. We talked all the time on Twitter about like everybody wants Jordan Addison. There's a
Yeah.
lot of other good slot receivers. You look at Josh Downs from North Carolina, Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. All these guys are probably going to be in the range for the Steelers to grab between 17 and 32. Um, but why would you invest that high of a pick when you've seen Canada's offense the last 2 seasons with proven NFL receivers,
Yeah,
mind you,
exactly.
Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool. We've had limited exposures over a course of a season, or at least games where we've seen those guys be the least productive they've ever been as pros.
Yeah.
So that's my thing too, is like how this should affect their draft strategy with Canada coming back. My thoughts on if they took a receiver in the first 3 picks, it's not my preferred thing, but I'm good with it because I think that there are good players to add to the roster, and giving your rookie quarterback more weapons is a great thing. In this scheme, now I'm a little more like, I don't know if I want to do that. Now I'm probably going to be more disappointed with that, even if the long-term outlook for those players could be better because, even if it's just a 1-year stopgap thing.
Yeah, but even if it is a 1-year stock cap thing, think about it. Juju Smith-Schuster left and made it very known that he was being underutilized in the slot. Chase Claypool left and made it very known that he was being underutilized in the slot. You're just going to bring somebody in and piss them off for a season and say, hey, welcome to Pittsburgh. I know you're a rookie. Let's add a little bit of drama to the mix because we don't already have that in Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. It's not like Steelers fans just let their wide receivers just do their thing and don't make noise about them. They always have a spotlight on them. I think that's a terrible idea. I agree with you. Do you fall under the notion, like I said, that you think anything else is going to change? I think that they are going to stay as stalemate as humanly possible with this offense and just give it one more year and then realize how bad they messed up because they're just slow. They're slow learners. Mike Tomlin, you could give him all the credit in the world for a lot of things. The dude is the worst when it comes to recognizing his mistakes and moving on from them.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a personnel standpoint, I still, like I said, I anticipate either a new starter, a left guard, left tackle, and I anticipate a new slot receiver. Those things to me are going to be the biggest changes. Really, if you look at the infrastructure that's already in place, they've got a good base already. I mean, they
Yeah.
have a wide receiver 1 in Johnson, Pickens, a ascending wide receiver 2.
Yep.
Freiermuth, one of the better young receiving tight ends in the league. The offensive line came together last season, gelled because all of them played every snap and didn't miss a game. Najee Harris, you kind of got your 1-2 punch with him and Warren. So there's really not a ton that you really need to overhaul. It's just a young group that you need to continue to develop and make sure that they're all trending in the right trajectory. In terms of offensively, things that I think that we definitely need to see more of in terms of where to take this thing to the next level. They need to figure out some sort of way to get some type of play action passing game. Like, I think that's probably the easiest
Maybe just
solution.
try it. I think if they just tried it once,
I mean,
that would be enough.
They're 23rd in usage in play action last season. And you look at that, 15% of their passing plays. I'm not saying that you necessarily need to go out here and start spamming play action. You don't need to be Atlanta and spam play action on 45% of your dropbacks. But in order to work the middle of the field in order to kind of find some intermediate passing lanes, it would be great to see them lean on some play action stuff, especially if they want to be as run heavy as they were down the stretch. And then the second part of that, which this part is the one that I refuse to believe is going to be a thing next year, but they've got to find a way to hit some intermediate passes between the numbers.
Yeah.
Pickett's numbers were really, really terrible last season. Canada, I will give him credit. He did start working some intermediate concepts to stretch the middle of the field, but even when things were open, Pickett didn't hit him. Like, I'm just looking at a chart here between the numbers between 10 and 20 yards. Pickett was 12 of 30 for 211 yards, 2 picks, 36 passer rating. There was some really, really bad air mails from him even down the stretch when he was playing better. So they got to figure out a way to hit the middle of the field, especially when you got big body guys like Pickens, Freiermuth. You talk about expanding Pickens' route tree. Use that dude in the middle of the field. Like, he has great body control. Yeah. He not afraid to go over the middle. So have him run some digs for you, some stuff like that, some posts. But it is what it is. We'll have to see what happens.
We will have to see what happens. And one more thing on the intermediate passes. I think that some of Kenny's lack of success there was the fact that they didn't start using it until the end of the season. And just like everything else, he's got to develop. He's a slowly developed quarterback. You're not gonna just toss that in there and just be like, okay, go work it out now, and it should all be fine. That's not how that's gonna work. Before we move on to the last thing we want to talk about, did you hear that Kenny Pickett credited Brian Flores for his 2-minute drill success? That was
I saw the headline. Cool. I didn't actually hear the interview, but I saw the headline. I thought that was pretty cool. What exactly was he saying?
So he talked a lot about it. Like, he said that him and Flo would talk during the 2-minute drills, like after the 2-minute drills, and break things down, how linebackers were supposed to, like, what they would be looking for, what defensive backs would be looking for, the whole nine. And then it actually got to a point where, like, this was all throughout the season, all throughout training camp. And then it actually got to a point that during the season, when somebody would have a good 2-minute drive in a primetime game or something, Flo would actually text Kenny and be like, hey, did you see that? And then they would walk through that, like, through text messages as they would go. I just thought that was, yeah, right. That's a pretty cool thing. Like you don't realize the impact of Brian Flores until small things like that come out, and you're just like, this guy really is as good as advertised.
This goes back to reinforce what we just talked about.
100%.
Building a strong coaching staff, as it has its benefits. I promise. Yep. It has its benefits.
Yeah. And sometimes with Pittsburgh, you don't get that.
Even the ones you might not realize, like Flores, like, probably no one even hinted at the fact that he might help Pickett's development. We were talking about whether he was going to resurrect Devin Bush's career. That's what we were talking about. We're talking about.
Yeah, and he did something way more significant. Yeah. He literally helped the next franchise quarterback, which is way bigger than an inside linebacker that didn't pan out. 100%. Awesome. It is. It's very true. It's a very good point.